I see the face of God.
I've decided to keep a journal, to set down all my thoughts and the simple events of my day. I will keep this diary for 1 year, and at the end of that time, it will be destroyed.
I encouraged my son to enlist. It was a family tradition. 6 months later, he was dead in Iraq. I was lost.
All right, so welcome back to Triple Feature. It is Wednesday, so this is the second film of religious horror, religious thriller. Last time we did Saint Maud, both of us gave that a 3.5. Today we're talking about the Paul Schrader movie First Reformed. My name is Sam.
And I'm Joe. The reason we chose this movie was because we felt it fit well into like not so I don't really consider this much of a horror movie, but a religious zealot movie. And when trying to decide kind of a theme, religious horror seemed kind of the obvious theme, with Saint Maud being kind of the main movie we were gonna go off of.
Basically, First Reformed is basically about a pastor. He's in a church that it's like 10 people, 12. Basically, nobody's coming to his church. So you kind of look at it as like a souvenir shop at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to meet this woman who's pregnant, who has a husband. She's a believer. He's not. He's huge into environmentalism. In fact, he's ready to, in a sense, blow himself up. He doesn't want, he's ready to kill himself for this, basically. Kill himself for what's going on with global warming and what we're doing to the earth. And they're having this whole discussion about whether, do I want to bring a baby into this world with everything that's going on? So, through some big action, some acts that happen and everything, this starts taking Ethan Hawke's character down the road towards environmentalism, a different type of extremism that he's headed towards, and this kind of relationship that he has with this woman. And there's Cedric the Entertainer too. He's in it.
Yeah, Cedric. Yeah. She does a good job. No, well, I guess maybe I don't remember right. It's not so much that he's losing faith in God and going to environmentalism. It's that he's buying into environmentalism and realizing that the only way to protect God's creation is to be active and fight for it, which starts to build towards a violent type.
I think that's a better way of explaining it. Yeah.
Yeah. And because it's not that he's becoming just like an atheist who like loves environmentalism, but I'll say with this movie, I'll just start with kind of my thoughts. When I didn't know anything about the writer or director or anything when I first watched it, and I wasn't surprised at all to learn that it was written specifically by a veteran writer, because that to me that I had mixed feelings on the movie, but I loved the dialogue the entire time. Especially when it came to like, especially the first conversation between Ethan Hawke and the man he's spoken to, who has become an atheist, who's lost all faith in God and believes that he doesn't want to have children because he's afraid of bringing a child into this world because of global warming and everything. And they have this conversation about, would God protect us, and where's our faith, and how do we have hope in a world that potentially is falling apart? And there's so many ways that a conversation like that can be depicted in a movie very poorly, and I've seen them a lot. Yeah. And I thought that conversation was so well written, and I remember just thinking like I could just watch an hour and a half of this conversation. Like, I just thought it was just really well done. Again, I don't know if the guy who wrote it, I forgot his name, but I don't know if he is religious himself or is raised religious or what, but he all those things to me, and the whole movie depicts religious faith, I feel like very respectfully, like very I don't want to say logically, but it doesn't make the believer seem like crazy dumb people at all.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such an interesting touch, because you wouldn't normally see that type of care taken, and not only the type of care, but then just the ability to make that into a conversation that worked. And so I just enjoyed it. Then at the end, my issue with the movie again, it's similar to Saint Maud, where it's about a religious person who gets more and more zealous to the point of harmful.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. Ethan Hawke keeps getting more and more zealous and gets more and more interested in this idea of blowing the people up who he sees as causing the global warming, causing the harm. It just, in my opinion, the transfer from him being like a guy who probably has some mental issues, but he's working and living a normal life, to a mass murderer, just suddenly it goes from 0 to 100 way too fast for me.
Yeah.
Whereas if we look at like Saint Maud, you're starting the movie with a woman who's clearly not okay, but seems to have just been holding it together. But she's lost her job. She has no friends. Like, obviously things aren't working. And it just keeps spiraling, where he is like a respected priest, and he has responsibilities, and he has relationships, and everything's fine. And it seems like within the course of 6 months or whatever the movie takes place, he goes from that to just a guy wrapping himself in barbed wire and ready to kill children or something. And I just felt like that trajectory didn't work for me.
And that's
so
what
I enjoy.
Yeah, that's what hurt the movie ultimately for me. Was the movie was fine. It was a bit slow for me, not slow, but it went along. It was going. I was wondering where it was going, and when it comes to the big ending, where all of a sudden he's putting on this vest to blow everybody up, I didn't quite buy it at that point. It didn't tell me enough. It's not like in Saint Maud, I was like, okay, yeah, like you said, when she finally stabs somebody, you know that's coming, right? Which can be good and bad, but you know something's predictable. But you know we're headed to somewhere bad, right? We have that sort of thing, like, okay, I see where we're headed. Same thing like when we watch, Joker. Finally shoots Robert De Niro. It's okay, like we're heading to these places after he kills people. These things. This one caught me way off guard. Where I was like, I'm all for this. Like, I'm for this ending. I'm for the idea of him being able to do this. I'm not sure they gave me enough to make me believe it by the time they got it. And it really hurt it for me, because I was like, what? I was like, this, no, like, you didn't sell me enough on this, Schrader. Come on.
Well, and it's an interesting problem, because it's not a problem of or foreshadowing, right? I mean, right in the early on in First Reformed, they set up the idea of someone killing themselves over this. They set up the idea that someone was going to bomb something. They set up. You start noticing that Ethan Hawke is more and more intrigued with this stuff. So all the foreshadowing stuff is there.
Yeah,
it's just not a believable action, right? Yeah. Whereas, like, if you take something like Saint Maud, and same thing in Joker, I guess, spoiler for Joker too, but the foreshadowing and the seeding of that concept of him shooting, I think, is masterfully done, to the point where, I mean, I think the Joker is the best example, because the Joker, in that moment, you're not sure if he's going to kill himself, but someone's getting shot in the head. I mean, it's like, it's in your mind. Whereas Saint Maud, they don't foreshadow the actual way of death. I mean, maybe I don't think they do. She stabs her to death, right? With she glass.
She has those scissors.
Oh, scissors. And that doesn't seem to ever be foreshadowed. Like, there's never a point where, I don't know, a doll or something gets,
she does take her doll, and she stabs her doll one part earlier when she.
Oh, she does.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe that is the.
Maybe it's not. But really, it comes down to me, like anything else, right? At some point, you have to sell where the person ends up. It has to be believable, or if it's going to be unbelievable, it has to be in some kind of sudden way that is very intentional. That you go, it's you look at it and you go, that happened out of nowhere, and I feel like that was completely intentional. It was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be within the story that, it's like you set up at the beginning, where you say, like, sometimes things happen in life, sometimes there's no answers, and somebody does something like that, and you go, we didn't, that's right. This, I felt like he was building towards it. That was the whole intention of what he was doing. But
it's just not believable.
Yeah,
because he's not established as a he's established as a zealot, but not a dangerous zealot, or not an insane zealot.
Yeah, and then he's pouring at the end. He's putting Drano into his coffee.
Yeah,
and then he's putting that thing, and then one of the Mean Girls comes in.
Yeah.
The cast of Mean Girls, the one that can tell the weather. She comes in, and he goes on the floor again with her, and starts making out, right? And they start floating. Did they?
No, that's a different part.
That's in the different part.
No, that part they just start making out, and the movie ends right there.
Oh yeah,
and it's and that's why I said it's so similar to the ending of Saint Maud in the sense of you're obviously supposed to assume that he drank the Drano and died.
Yeah,
and this is in his mind, and this just suddenly cuts off to black, where Saint Maud shows you like a one shot or whatever of reality.
Yeah.
So that one ends with more of an ambiguous, but I don't think either one's really that ambiguous. I mean, both of the people went so crazy that they killed themselves, and then they're even during their death they're living in a fantasy world.
I think we can both agree though, because I've said since I saw Mean Girls and I saw that movie, I said Ethan Hawke must make out with one of these girls at some point.
No, well, and I assumed he already did, all three of them.
No, I figured he made out at some point. But when I saw all three, I said like that girl specifically, she was in late. That's fine, but get over to the Hawk.
And I thought he would lay on her and they would fly through the mountains. Which that scene, as interesting as that scene was, it looked like Soaring Over California, the ride.
Yeah,
like it just cuts to these like stock footage of mountains as they're like gliding over the top, and I thought that scene was cool, but it was like really, it was almost goofy. And Ethan Hawke though is really good. I mean, Ethan Hawke seems to throw himself into anything he plays. He's always doing really good stuff.
But Ethan Hawke's also all over the place. I feel like I see Ethan Hawke in like he'll be in like a B-rated horror film.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he can go to some artsy film. So he kind of goes all over the place.
I don't know what his issue is, because I feel like he's a well-respected actor. I mean, he's everybody, right?
No,
everybody knows who Hawke is. But he, for some reason, the majority of the movies I feel like I see him in are B-rated, just random stuff. And I don't know if it's because he likes those movies. Like he likes The Purge and movies like that, where he's just showing up. Because at the same time, he's doing movies like Boyhood and movies that are like critically acclaimed, these big.
Yeah, he's got that relationship with Linklater, but he does all those sort of films too. So I don't know. Yeah, he said he may just act, but I like how you say that, because I feel like you would meet him and just be like, "What's your issue? Like, what's going on?"
Well, what is it? I mean, it's because there's no way he's like can't get work, right?
Well, it's probably because if you watch Boyhood, he's probably like, "Look, I can be in The Purge. It's not good, but you're not bored, or you can watch 3 hours of Boyhood where nothing happens, and we can just watch a kid hit puberty." Those are the two different things. And Ethan Hawke never changes during the movie. It's like he doesn't really age. So I feel like he has.
Does he not change? I've never seen it.
It's like the kid keeps getting Ethan Hawke. I'm like, do something. Like Ethan Hawke stays the same the entire time. It's just like when you, if you watch Before Sunrise, after these movies, she like has aged. I mean, he's still aged, but it's definitely hit her harder than it's hit him. Ethan Hawke is looking good. I admit that. I think we're
always
during First Reformed.
Yeah. No, he always looked good. But I mean, this isn't the theme here is an Ethan Hawke film. So
that's our next everything from now on will be just Ethan Hawke, no matter what.
Yeah.
How does this tie in with Ethan Hawke and the movie Explorers?
Well, and that's the thing. That's what I'm hoping for with this podcast, is to have good themes. With the First Reformed, like I said, I did not like it nearly as much as I liked
Saint Maud.
Saint Maud. I feel like I'd give it. The thing is, to me the redeeming quality was I thought the dialogue was so well written, and that I never was. I enjoyed the whole movie, but I feel like I'm giving it a 3, but just barely, because I wasn't bored. But I didn't think the movie was very great, but I feel like as writing goes and as characters are written and stuff, I think the writer obviously really is good. It just doesn't like I'd never want to watch it necessarily again. Maybe certain parts.
And the movie for me was on the line of the whole time to the end to a 3. The ending dropped it to a 2.5 for me. Now I could now let me say this for the people that love this film, because they're gonna feel like
people love it.
People love some First Reformed. I give it a 2.5, but I could see it easily going higher if I ever saw it again, possibly, and watched it again closer, and I may feel different about the ending. Maybe if I watched it again and do all these things,
yeah,
feel different. I can see that because of the kind of movie it is. It's not a stupid movie, and I feel like it is smartly written. And maybe I'm just off. So
yeah, I mean that's always possible. I know that certain directors say that you should always watch movies twice before you judge them. That you should watch it initially and then pretty quickly after that watch it again. But it's like some of us have jobs and stuff.
Yeah,
not me though. I don't have a job actually. But
so for everyone out there, to wrap this up, Joe gave it a 3. I gave it a 2.5. I think both of us agree it could be a little higher if we saw it again and was more there. Also, to be able to rewatch these movies, as Joe said, you basically need to be an unemployed loser. So if you are unemployed, if you don't have a girlfriend, if you have no prospects in life, and you're thinking about yourself, but you love Ethan Hawke, check out First Reformed, Paul Schrader film. Now, we'll be back on Friday for the third part of the feature of our religious horror films, and we're going to end with Frailty, which was directed by Bill Paxton, R.I.P. I always forget. It was kind of random. All right, we'll see you later.
I've decided to keep a journal